Hi guys, I'm Daryl, and I'm working with my partner Mayor Sunil on this Tech Talk. The front-end technology we have chosen is Angular. I'll start off by giving you all an overview of what this talk would include. So basically, Angular is a JavaScript framework developed by Google. Its predecessor, AngularJS, was developed in 2010, which was written in JavaScript, but that was replaced by Google with just Angular in 2016, that was written in TypeScript. In this presentation, we'll go over the overall architecture of Angular. We'll go over the MVC framework, the DOM model, and how Angular is comprised of a component-based architecture. And we'll go over features like dependency injection, two-way data binding. And we'll do this through an app walkthrough, and we will end by mentioning some of the use cases of Angular and why and when you should use Angular. Angular has a close relationship with the DOM model and is considered the backbone of Angular's architecture. This front-end technology eases the process of development through dynamic content generation. It relies on templates and components to create web pages. Angular connects the data to the components, which then updates the DOM in real time to reflect the changes made in the data. This enhances and optimizes the performance of the web page. This results in a smooth sync between the backend data, or the state of the app, and the user interface, hence enriching the user experience. Through this, the development of responsive web applications becomes a seamless process. Next, we'll go over another important aspect of Angular's architecture, which is MVC, the Model View Controller look. As you can see on the slide, Angular closely follows the Model View Controller architecture. As you might recall earlier in the slides, it was mentioned that Angular services are written in TypeScript. So the model in this situation is the web application's current state, which is stored in the TypeScript classes. These usually contain the service layer and the business logic. These classes define how the backend data communicates with the UI. The view in this case is the user interface of the application, which is the HTML that includes the Angular syntax and the CSS classes. In this case, as mentioned earlier, Angular templates are used, which is the HTML, but with Angular syntax. Angular is a component-based technology and handles the application's interactions with the UI, including data binding, services, event handling. So here, in this case, the controller is actually the components itself. Now we'll walk you through the important features of Angular using a well-known Angular tutorial app called Tour of Heroes. This will cover important features like components, data binding, event handling, and much more. Angular is a completely component-based application where each component is a unit that combines the behavior, the style, and the UI as a single package. This promotes reusability of the code and plays a significant role in enhancing the performance of the web application. Each component would have an HTML template with Angular syntax, a CSS style component, and TypeScript, which would include the services and the business logic code. As you can see on the slides, the app.component.html is considered the root component. This contains the whole structure of the app, which could include sections, tables, forms. In this case, we have buttons as well for this app on the UI and several headings. The app.component.css contains the styling of the root component. This includes fonts, colors, typography, etc. Finally, the app.component.ts contains the TypeScript code, which is responsible for the service logic and the business logic of the root component. In the Tour of Heroes, there is a hero component file called heroes.component.ts, which contains the logic of updating the state of the UI, retrieving data about the heroes from the stored database, and overall handling of interaction of the logic to the UI layer. So this is how all the different aspects of the components are grouped together as a single unit. Data binding is one of the most important features of Angular. In the next few slides, we'll go over some of the significant types of binding Angular has, starting with interpolation binding. Interpolation binding allows the web app to incorporate dynamic data straight into the templates. Any change to the element in the binding gets updated according to the condition and backend logic, increasing reusability and responsiveness. In Angular, interpolation binding is done with the help of curly braces. Let's look at the example we have here. In this file, details about the hero is being handled and displayed to the UI. The expression hero.name, uppercase, in the curly braces binds the name of the hero to the UI, and the uppercase pipe converts that into the uppercase. Similarly, the hero.id interpolation displays the ID of the hero, which is stored in the property hero.id. Now we'll go over another important kind of binding, which is known as the two-way data binding. The two-way data binding is also very commonly used in Angular. In this example, you see the input tag and the hero.name elements are bidirectionally binded to each other. The ng model equals hero.name statement binds the input tag to the hero name. Through this binding, any change to the hero name will be immediately reflected in the input tag. Similarly, any change to the input tag will update the hero.name property in the respective class. This two-way data binding in Angular ensures synchronization between the backend and the UI. The next type of binding we'll go over is called the event binding. Angular makes use of event binding to handle user interactions and respective actions on the UI. These events could include clicks, submissions, and other kind of mouse movements. In Angular, the event is enclosed in parentheses. That is then followed by the name of the expression and the function. In this example, you can see that there is a click event on a button element. When the user clicks the button, the expression save gets executed. Overall, event binding in Angular makes for a responsive interactive web app that handles the user interactions and updates the states accordingly. Up next is what's known as the property binding. Property binding is also extensively used within Angular. This mechanism allows for data binding between the component of an item and its template. What property binding does is that it sets the value of an item in the HTML template depending on the value it has in the respective component class. This binding is represented by square brackets in the HTML template. Now there is something important to note here. Property binding, unlike the two-way binding, is a one-directional binding, a one-way binding, meaning the flow of the information is just from the component class to the template. If any change is made in the component class, that will show up on the template. However, any change made on the template itself will not be reflected on the component class. The value in the component class will not be updated. So let's look at this example on the screen here. Here, the statement shown binds the value of the source attribute of the image to the value of item image URL, which is in the component class. So in the component class, this item image URL property has a URL of the image that is to be inserted. So overall, property binding increases the reusability of the code and makes the maintenance a very smooth process.
For the example we took today for the tour of the heroes, status of the website is an open source. While it doesn't have a database, the data has been pre-saved in the in-memory data service.ts file and it's the size of 9. So coming to the next slide, nearest competitors. While Angular has been long dominated in the field, React and Vue emerge as its nearest competitors, each offering a unique strengths and innovations. So let's explore them a little bit. So coming to React.js, it has been created by Facebook. It offers a robust solution for UI development with its component-based structure, virtual DOM, and exceptional performance. Its vast ecosystem positions it as a compelling alternative to Angular. While on the other hand, Vue.js stands out for its simplicity and its seamless integration with reactive data binding and component-based approach similar to Angular. Vue.js also offers an incremental adoption path and can be used for projects of all size. So when to use an Angular? We broke this part into 5 different bullet points. So let's dive into each of them. So coming to large scale applications. Angular is great for making large scale applications with a lot of complicated things. It's good at organizing the code and making sure everything works together smoothly. Its modular architecture and strong dependency injection system help in managing the code bases efficiently. And coming to enterprise applications. Angular is very suited to be an enterprise applications as its comprehensive set of features including built-in tools for routing, forms, HTTP client and state management. Then real-time data applications. Angular's two-way data binding and reactive program with RxJS makes it suitable for real-time data applications that require frequent updates and interactions. Coming to consistency and maintainability, Angular's opinionated structure and strict coding standards promote consistency and maintainability across the projects, making it ideal for teams to work collaboratively. And at last, cross-platform development. Angular supports cross-platform development for web, mobile, data, desktop, allowing developers to leverage in single codebase for multiple platforms. What Angular is good for? Component-based architecture. Angular's way of building things called component-based architecture makes it simple to reuse parts of your code and grow your app as needed. It's like building with Lego blocks, easy to manage and expand. TypeScript integration. Angular uses TypeScript, a special type of JavaScript that helps catch mistakes early and makes coding more organized. TypeScript adds extra features like static typing, interfaces, and decorations, which make writing code more easier and more efficient for developers. Dependency injection. Angular has its own built-in system for handling dependencies, which means it's easier to manage the different parts of your code that rely on each other. This makes it simpler to test your code and keep it in good shape for the long term. Powerful CLI. Angular CLI is like magic wand for developers. It helps create, build, test, and deploy Angular applications with just few commands, making the whole development process much smoother and faster. And at the end, comprehensive ecosystem. Angular comes with a big collection of helpful tools like Angular Material for ready-to-use UI parts, Angular Universal for rendering on the server, and Angular Router for handling how users move around your app. Plus, there's a friendly community ready to help you out when you need it. What Angular isn't good for? Quick prototyping. Due to its opinionated structure and learning curve, Angular may not be the best choice for rapid prototyping or small projects where simplicity and speed of the development are prioritized. Performance critical applications. While Angular offers good performance out of the box, it may not be as lightweight as some other frameworks or libraries like Vue.js, making it more suitable for extremely performance critical applications. Flexibility and freedom. Angular's opinionated approach may feel restrictive for developers who prefer more flexibility and freedom in choosing libraries, tools, and architecture patterns. Steep learning curve. Angular's comprehensive feature set and complex sets like RxJS observables and Angular modules can result in steep learning curve for beginners, requiring significant time and effort to master. So coming to summary, we conclude that Angular is a powerful framework suitable for building large-scale enterprise-level applications with complex requirements. Its strong architecture, TypeScript integration, and comprehensive ecosystem makes it an excellent choice for teams looking for consistency, maintainability, and scalability. However, developers should consider its learning curve and sustainability for specific project needs before opting for Angular. Thank you.